Well, welcome to Live Healthy Miami Gardens Live, another one of our wellness webinars. And my name is Melissa P. Dunn. I'm the CEO of MD Marketing Network, as well as a member of the Live Healthy Miami Gardens Communications Sub-Council. So today we are having a really different kind of conversation. We are going to be speaking with the executive chef of Dukunoo Jamaican Kitchen in Wynwood, Chef Blair. Hey, Chef.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I know that you're in the middle of a lunch rush, so thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
Definitely.
So, Chef, Live Healthy Miami Gardens is really about creating opportunities for residents of Miami Gardens and the surrounding communities to live healthy by choosing the right food and having great access to healthcare and mental health services. And so today's show, the conversation really is going to be about how to incorporate nutrition into that journey. But before we start, Chef, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Dukunoo Jamaican Kitchen?
Definitely. Good afternoon, everyone. So I am Executive Chef Jorian Blair of the Dukunoo's Kitchen. It's been a journey. So my background, I was actually born in Jamaica. I was born in St. Anne's, a very small place in Jamaica. I mean, Jamaica is a small place itself, but definitely Jamaican background. I moved from Jamaica about 6 or 7 years old, straight to New York. I don't know, but I feel like when Jamaicans move, they move to where every other Jamaican is. I don't know if that's how it works, but I end up being in White Plains Road, New York, where the rest of the Jamaicans were. So that was real cool growing up. Definitely in the Bronx. I think I got a lot of my strong futures from growing up in the Bronx, New York. That kind of helped me out in the future. And then, a couple years in, I finally picked up cooking in New York. I enjoyed it. My first restaurant I worked for was Mary Batali. You guys probably heard about him. Just going to that kitchen and getting that experience was like an eye-opener. And that was my first kitchen. And from there, I knew I wanted to be in the kitchen industry. I didn't know where I was going at first, but I was like, I got to conquer this. I walked in there. I felt like I was walking into, how can I explain this? It was just like a space where everything was quiet. As much noise is going on, it was just like a quiet space. So it was almost like walking into your dreams, right? So I'm walking in very quiet, and I'm just watching the flow of everything. I'm like, wow, I need to be the man in charge of a spot like this one day. And, I guess when you visualize and see things, you could actually make it happen, right? So achieving your goals is always something that we want to do, even with eating, right? So before I jump into like conversation about food, eating, if there's any question anyone want to ask, or maybe, something you want me to touch base on, I give you guys a couple of seconds to send those questions or whatever you have on your mind before we get too deep into the conversation, right? Before that, let me continue the story before we go right into that as well. So a couple years into that field in New York, like hustling, bustling within the industry of like cooking and like kind of like, finding out where I really wanted to be. I was like, where do I really want to be in this industry? So I decided to venture out to Florida, right? I heard a lot of great things about Florida. I heard about, pretty much the avocado life, the avocado toast, everything avocado. And I was kind of like laughing, like, wow, let's see what New York have to offer. Florida, Miami. So we did the exchange. I came down here within the industry of hotel. I worked at Betsy Hotel for 1 year. They actually flew me in, interviewed me, took care of me for that whole week. And I was like, wow, Miami really know how to invite people to their homes. So I actually was very excited. So I ended up staying here, right? Worked there for a year and found out that, I don't want to be in the hotel industry too much. I decided to reach out to a couple of friends, right? And the industry is very small. So one of my close friends was Dwayne Wade's Chef Richard, right? I reached out to Chef Richard. I said, hey, I'm in Miami. I think I want to try the private chef life. He introduced me to one client. And I think from there on, the bus started going around and I made a name for myself to where that I got the opportunity to work with some great athletes like Bam Adebayo. I worked with UD. some of the major prospects, Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins team. These are NBA players and NFL players from the Miami team, the Dolphin team. So I got very integrated with the Miami lifestyle when I started working with these guys. So that was one of the experiences that kind of like, made you feel like, wow, it's definitely worth the risk coming to Florida. So from there, I also worked with some of the industry guys like Future, Offset, a few of those guys, high caliber artisans, but everyone to me was always human being. I never really seen anyone as an artist or athlete. I always seen everyone as a human being and how they treated us, right? So here we are now. A couple years later, I'm in Dukunoo. I met Roderick and the owners about 3-4 years ago. I remember seeing an ad out on Facebook. I don't know who's in charge. It might have been Melissa who was in charge of this ad, but I seen it on Facebook. And it caught my attention. I was like, wow, a new Jamaican spot in Wynwood. Because at the time, there's no Jamaican spot in Wynwood, right? So I was like, I wonder who's bringing this to Wynwood. So I decided to go and have a try and see what's going on. And I think what caught my attention was just the ambiance of the place and then just the passionate of the owners, like just see them being there in their own business when it first started up. And that kind of like, wow, like that's my energy. I want to be a part of everything I'm doing. And I just like fell in love with the owners. And spoke to Roderick. I was telling him what I was doing. I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. He kept on asking me, hey, I need you part of the team. And I was like, always stressing, like, I don't want to give away 20 hours a week for 60 plus hours, right? You guys gotta understand. 60 hours plus two, right? And eventually we decided to make that happen. And here I am now in Dukunoo Wynwood, the executive chef. And I don't see nowhere else other than Dukunoo. I think the future is right here. And then we have a lot of stuff to bring to Miami, Florida, and the rest of the world.
Wow, I love that. I love that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were doing work with athletes and celebrities. So good to know you, Chef Blair.
Thank you, definitely.
Oh, Chef, I know that making Jamaican cuisine healthy can be a challenge. Like I grew up on Jamaican food. And I know that sometimes, the way that my grandmother cooks it may not have been the healthiest. What tips could you give us on how to make Jamaican food healthier?
Definitely, right? So my tip is this, right? Healthy Jamaican food itself is naturally healthy, right? Because we do use organic. Technically, we use organic. If you're in Jamaica, we are going to our backyard and we are pulling out thyme, fresh herbs, bananas off the tree. These are actually organic. These are very fresh organic vegetables that we are using, right? So Jamaican cuisine is pretty much healthy already. So I think what we want to do is actually see the healthier part, as in like when we do start to eat Jamaican cuisine. So when we eat Jamaican cuisine, I always tell people, when we are making food, like think about, other than frying it, think about, can we grill it? Can we roast it, right? We stick away from the frying food, stick away from the grease, all the calories, right? Also, when it comes down to like the vegetables, like, let's pull back from having the boiled dumpling so much. Maybe one boiled dumpling is good, but you probably want 2 cups of some steamed cabbage, maybe some steamed callaloo. Like you want to really incorporate the fresh vegetables that we have in our backyard into our eating, right? We also have a lot of great fruits that grow in our culture itself. So having some of those for snacks in the daytime is a great way to kind of like help us reduce all the intakes of calories and just kind of like bringing our intake as a healthy intake every day on a daily basis, right? So what I do now is, how do I see healthy eating? A lot of times, healthy eating actually start with clean eating, right? So what I say clean eating is like, when you think about eating, is you think about what you don't want to consume, as in like the refined whites, right? As in flour, white bread. You don't want to have fried food. You really don't want to take on things that's going to sit in your system and take pretty much put a lot of weight on your system, as in like damaging your system. So as in like steak, for example, if you're eating red meat, we don't digest that within 24 hours. That might sit into our system anywhere from like 7 days, roughly to 30 days. So if it takes our system that long to break it down, that means it's really not doing anything good for our system, right? So we want to put things in our body to where that our body can react to it in a better way, in a healthier way, to where that is fueling us in a positive way, right? So when we fuel ourselves, we want to have stuff like the healthy greens. Like I said, callaloo, for instance, right? That's great. It will give you some great carbs. It will give you some great energy boosting kind of, let's get some of the fruits like blueberries, antioxidants. These are things that get our blood circulating and just get our body going. So when I say like start eating clean, it's more so pull away from all this bad stuff and get into the cleaner stuff, right? Do we have any questions or any?
Yeah, so Chef, let me ask you this. I know one of the things that my grandmother used to do is she used to cook a lot with like coconut oil and
Yeah.
Crisco. Is that recommended?
Well, Crisco oil definitely not recommended. Coconut oil definitely recommended. Coconut oil is more of it's a better fat, right? Not saying it's something that you still also would consume a lot of, but it's a way better, cleaner version of utilizing oil other than Crisco oil, right? So Crisco oil is pretty much a bunch of corn syrup, just a bunch of toxic things that they put together to kind of like keep you put together just kind of like bring fried food to a crisp, right? So in the sense of like used to fry food, we can't fry food in coconut oil. Why? Just the natural ingredients in it will break down too fast and will burn quick, right? So there's no really frying anything in coconut oil in the sense of it burns too quick. Natural ingredients will kind of burn quicker than anything that you put adjectives to. So yeah, to your answer is coconut oil would be a better choice than Crisco oil.
Okay, got it. And guys, if you have any questions for Chef, please do place them in the chat. Use the Q&A session and let's get the conversation started. So Chef, what is your favorite cuisine to cook at Dukunoo?
I enjoy cooking all the dishes actually, but one of the dishes that still stand out to me is the lemongrass shrimp. And the reason why, because I noticed that, we have our culture, our background in it. Our sauces, like even though it's a tomato-based sauce, we still have the fresh thyme, we have the Scotch bonnet, we'll have the coconut milk, which is all Jamaican incorporated within that sauce. And just having all of that, I know that's a great balance where that we're not taking in too many calories, but at the same time, the shrimps, very low in calories. We're grilling those, we're not adding any extra fat to it or anything. We literally just add a little bit of salt and pepper for taste, and we'll rub a little bit of garlic. And then, we can have that with the choice of side we choose. I see people choose rice, but, if I wanted to eat that particular dish and have it healthy, I'll probably choose a side salad with that. Or even if I wanted rice, I think rice is not a bad thing. I think it's how much rice we consume is a bad thing, right? So if we are to choose rice other than 2 cups of rice, I might say, hey, can I get a half a cup of rice to a cup of rice?
Got it.
We do need carbs. Our body do need carbs on a daily basis due to the fact that we are burning carbs just by talking. Naturally our body will burn roughly from 13 to 2,000 calories a day just by doing our normal activities. If you're very active, you can burn up to 3,000 calories a day just by being an active person, walking to the store or just, up and down the steps other than the elevators and stuff like that.
So Chef, one of the questions in the chat right now is, what's the best way to cook callaloo?
The best way to cook callaloo. Great. So, I'm going to give you guys my 2 best ways because one of them is a little bit, just maybe like about 40 calories to 80 calories more. But the best way to cook callaloo is I like to sweat out the aroma within my vegetables before I add the callaloo to the pot, right? So what I would do is I get the fresh onion, the Scotch bonnet, a little bit of thyme, right? And once I throw all that in the pot, I add a little bit of butter, about a tablespoon of butter, and kind of like let that sweat into it, right? So once I start to smell the aroma, the Scotch bonnet, then I'll throw the callaloo right on top of that. Because what happened is the callaloo will absorb all that flavor that's actually in the pot, right? So we go ahead and mix that in. And I might deglaze it with a little bit of water. And I'm talking about maybe a quarter cup of water. I don't want it to be too soggy or loose. So what I'll do, I'll just deglaze with about a quarter cup of water, put a top on that, let it steam for about 3 to 4 minutes, give it a quick turn and see where we at, right? The less you cook green vegetables, the more healthy it is for you. You don't want to overcook your vegetables because then you're cooking out the nutritionist value of the vegetable, right? So
Oh,
always remember
wow.
that. The less you cook it, the more healthy it is for you.
So what? That's about steaming it for what, about 15 minutes?
I mean,
Or
if
that's
you
too
if
long?
it's edit, that's still too long. So what I would say is if you're steaming it to where that it starts to change its color, you're steaming it too long, right? You want to steam it till yeah, a lot of times we
No.
think we're cooking it all the way through. Only thing I would say, like collard greens is something different. That you need your 45 minutes to about an hour and a half to cook. Callaloo is more of a delicate leaf, so you could definitely get that in there for about 7 minutes, right? It will still carry over cooking for like about 3-4 extra minutes. So even by the time you take it out, it still continue cooking.
Wow, that was a really good question. You guys put another question in the chat. Chef, so I know that at Dukunoo you have like some vegan options, right? And some
Yeah,
vegetarian options. I think one of my favorite dish is the curry chickpea.
yeah.
What's I guess the secret to making a good curry chickpea at home, like as a home chef?
Yes. Well, the secret is, you gotta love what you do, right? So if you're loving it, it's gonna taste good. But also, I think the curry chickpea, what we have here is a unique curry. So our curry kind of like help us give you guys that extra oomph and that flavor because we don't use just any curry. Our curry is pretty much imported from Jamaica, and it just brings this real bright curry flavor to it, right? Other than that, we try to make sure we have like good quality chickpea. I know people say, "Oh, chickpea," but you still have the store brand chickpea. You also have, name brand chickpeas. And then you have, just good, search around, just see which one more texturally fits you, which one more flavored fits you. Because chickpea, what it does, it absorbs the flavor that you're putting it in. So if I'm putting chickpea into a curry, I want to make sure I have some real good tasting curry. I also want to make sure that curry is also well balanced. So between balancing the curry and having a real good chickpea, I think that extra love you have for it will bring you an excellent dish at home.
So I sometimes am looking for really creative ways to get me to eat more vegetables. So when I do curry chickpea at home, the very few times that I cook, when I try to make it at home, I usually use a little bit of coconut milk and then I put like spinach and I put like mixed vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way to get me to eat more veggies.
Veggies, great. Let me ask you a question. When you make that, do you cook it all in one pot or is it being cooked in separate pots?
I do one pot. I don't like to wash a whole heap of pots, so I do. I'm just being real. I'm
No,
being real.
it's good.
So
It's
I
good.
do one pot. Is that not? I shouldn't be doing it all in one pot?
I mean, so you could do it all in one pot. And the only reason why I ask because when we do like flavor profiling, like building flavors so that when you do add them, you'll have more of a unique taster, right? So if I had said next time you do this dish, like try it with try this. Like you literally will just take your spinach and you will saute that completely separate with a little bit of garlic, salt, pepper, and then add it to the dish. And then what that would do is just bring a whole new flavor to that dish itself. Other than flavor, just you using the different techniques, as in like sauteing or smoking it. That particular techniques also bring more flavor into that dish itself. So just doing like maybe it's components, right? I know there's a lot of more components, but just adding them all together in one finished dish, you get a more bold taste.
Okay. So the way that I do it now is I do like the onions and all of that stuff in the pot first.
Yeah.
And saute it. Then, I mean, unfortunately, I use canned chickpeas.
Yeah, which is fine, definitely. I don't think chickpeas. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I use like the Grace or the Goya chickpea, and then I put the chickpeas in the pot and I put some coconut milk in it, and then I let it simmer for a little bit, and then I when I start piling up the vegetables.
Yeah, you start piling up the vegetables.
Yeah.
Remember that said earlier about the vegetables. If you cook it too long, you just
Okay. That's a really good tip. That's a really good tip. Thank you for that one, Chef. So the other go ahead.
Quick way too, like I said, if the chickpeas gonna absorb the flavor, if you have a curry, because you know you got to cook the curry down a little before you add anything to it, right? You add the chicken right
I
on.
do that. I cook the curry
Yeah,
with the
and then add the
onions and
chicken,
everything first. Yeah.
and then add the chickpea right onto that, and then they glaze it with the coconut milk.
Yeah.
There you
That's what
go.
I do. Okay, so doing a little bit good, but we can make
You
the
can be my
adjustment.
sous chef one day. You know, I'm at to invite you to the kitchen one day.
You don't want me as your sous chef. I'm better off doing what I'm doing now.
All right, cool.
I'm better off eating the food. All right, so we have a couple more questions. We have two more questions in the chat. So what question, chef, do you have a cookbook out?
I actually do, but it was actually designed for kids. So what I do in my free time, I
I
teach
did
a
not know
nonprofit.
that.
Yeah. So I do a nonprofit class every Tuesday for kids, which is about 11 to 13 years old. And I particularly do it with kids from New York, the Bronx, because that's the area I grew up in, and it was you know, a little rough. I felt like we had it a little tough growing up. So I try to give back my experience, but what I came out of, I try to give back to the kids in the Bronx, New York, 11, 13 years old. I feel like that's a very critical stage for them. So I try to work with them.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I will send
Okay.
you the link for next when it starts back. I'll send you a link so you can actually see
Yeah,
what
please do. And chef, you know what? Maybe we could do that. Bring that to Miami. I
yeah,
love that
definitely.
idea.
We could do it for the Miami version.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's really powerful. All right. So the next question is, can Miami Gardens have a cook night session with you? Oh, look at that. All right, Rose, I see the questions. She wants to know, we could meet up at one of the community areas like Betty T. Ferguson. People live in the community can learn to cook simple dishes that's healthy, plus to be a great event. To do with her husband. Just a thought. Listen, Rose, I hear you. And listen, my team right now is documenting that idea. So you just might see that. How would you
Yeah.
feel about that, chef?
I mean, I would love to do a hands-on lesson with everyone. I would definitely leave this up to Melissa. My time for her is always available. So I think when she's ready to make that happen, you guys will see me.
All right. I love that. Such a great idea, Rose. I love that. All right. And then someone else is saying, awesome. Fantastic. You guys keep the questions going. So, chef, tell me what is new now? What's your next big thing at Dukunoo? What are you guys focusing on the next month or two?
So right now, I mean, we're focusing on pretty much keeping like you know, because we are a restaurant, we want to keep the consistency of like, you know, making sure our customers, our clients are happy. But also, like, you know, we're definitely working on new food, try to elevate it to where that we could meet the requirements of the vegans, the vegetarians. We do want to make sure that at any point, if anyone walking the restaurant between a pescatarian, gluten allergy, we are able to please those guests as much as we can, right? So we believe that the experience here is something that's unique compared to majority of the restaurants. And matter of fact, to all the restaurants, there's only one of a kind Dukunoo. So once you come here, you know, we definitely want you guys to leave with an experience of food and the vibes, not just because it's a Jamaican spot, but because we're doing things right here.
Yeah, and you have a lot of healthy options. Are you guys participating in Miami Spice?
Definitely. So we do have our spice menu that we feature about 6 items for lunch and 6 items for dinner. We have 2 choice apps, 2 choice entree, and our 2 choice desserts. And you know, for one of our appetizers, we actually have the sausage fritters, and we also have the plantain bites, which are great. And then if you go down to dinner, we got more like some coconut shrimps, which is like a great Jamaican dish. If it's done right, like how it's done here in Dukunoo, I promise you, we'll be back for more. We have that, and then you know, other than that, we definitely have our jerk chicken on the menu that we smoke, marinate for 24 hours, smoke for roughly about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and bring that to the table. Like that taste right there is so unique that you can't get it anywhere else.
I love it. What I know you mentioned, chef, that you used to work with a lot of athletes
Yeah.
prior to coming to Dukunoo, and so I'm sure that for athletes, nutrition was a very important part of their regimen, right?
Yes.
Could you share with us maybe one of the secrets that you would share with your athletic clients that to help keep them healthy?
Yeah. So the first thing I would tell them is like, you know, you got to be true to yourself, because once I'm feeding them, I'm not there 24 hours. So I always tell them, you got to be true to yourself. If you're going to eat it, at least let me know that you're eating that, right? So my biggest thing was like letting them know that, you know, the choices they make on a daily basis was going to affect their career, right? So I have clients that do so well because they do choose to make the right choices. As in, like, they choose not to eat the white rice, they choose to eat the quinoa instead. They choose not to eat the fatty meat, they choose to eat the lean meat instead. And the way they perform, I can tell the difference between the ones that don't obey the respect of the culture of just the culture of healthy eating, and the one that do respect it. And the outcome is completely different. Like, to where that one might not be playing next year, to where that one is playing 3-4 years still down the line, because they take work that they buy.
That's a really cool tip. So could you share with us some more healthy swaps that we could make? You just mentioned instead of white rice, you can go with quinoa. And then what was the other one? Like, could you share with us a couple of substitutions?
We'll stay away from the red meat. We eat more like lean meats, more like chicken breast, turkey, right? We eat those, very easy to digest, very easy on the stomach. Other than that, you know, I like to drink a lot of soup. I think soup is something that brings a lot of like nutrition and value to the body. It's also, I believe that you're not chewing as much, your body isn't breaking down as much. Try to get some of that in there. I like to swap out, so I don't eat a lot of carbs through my day. I snack on a lot more of like green leaves. Like, I have a salad, but when I'm also not in my green salad eating kind of mode, like, I know a lot of people just don't want to see greens on their plate, or they don't want to eat greens. I make it a habit to drink 8 cups. Is it 8? Yeah, 8 cups within the 8 days, like 2 cups per meal of green juices, right? So I believe you should at least have 8 cups in through the day. Like, once you're not eating greens, you should consume it by liquefying it, as in also incorporating things to it that you do like. Like, if it's too tardy or too bitter for you, you know, add a pineapple to it. You know, that will give you a great balance. But you do need to kind of consume that 8 cups of greens somehow, somewhere.
I love it. I love it. And it looks like there's another request for you to do a cooking demo of Miami Gardens. So Erlene is saying, and would you be able to do a cooking demonstration in one of our healthy corner stores in Miami Gardens? Listen, I hear the request loud and clear, community.
Definitely.
I got you. I'll talk.
I would love to do
Go ahead, Chef.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Like, I would love to do a cooking demo today, but you know, I'm at the restaurant, we doing service right now. I'm here thinking, like, can I sneak in there and kind of like tease you guys a little bit? But I don't want to tease you guys and not be able to finish the dish. So I think maybe, Melissa, we should just put
we
something together.
we should. All right. So we'll work through it with the Live Healthy team. Chef, any last words of wisdom that you want to offer the community?
One second, I can't. I'm not hearing.
Okay. So while Chef works through the technical difficulties, you guys, I'm so happy that you were able to join us today. You know, at Live Healthy Miami Gardens, we are 100% committed to. All right, good, Rose. I'm happy that you enjoyed the session. And then, so Rose says, great session. Early says, just name the time and date.
Sorry, guys.
All right. So it looks like Chef is working through some technical difficulties. Can you still hear us, Chef? All right, you can take him off spotlight, tech support. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode, this webinar. Chef, okay, thank you so much for watching this webinar session with us as we talk about making Caribbean cuisine in particular healthier. We were joined today by Executive Chef Jorian Blair from Dukunoo Jamaican Kitchen in Wynwood. For more great tips and local resources, go to livehealthymiamigardens.com. And Chef, are you back with us?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
All right, so we'll spotlight you again, and then you can close us out with some final words of wisdom.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead, Chef.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, definitely thank you guys so much for taking your time out and joining us and talking healthy talks. And like I said, for your future, if you think think about not eating so much bad, but eating healthy. As in, like, when you see something that you know that's bad for you, just make the right choice. Say no. And also, cutting back on your portions could also show a big difference in what you guys are trying to gain in the future. So always think about what you're consuming and how you're consuming it, right? And once you kind of like think of it that way, I think you start to make better and cleaner choices when it comes to eating.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chef. Thank you for joining us.
Definitely.
Again, if you want to learn more about Dukunoo Jamaican Kitchen, go to dukunoowinwood.com. And of course, livehealthymiamigardens.com is, of course, your trusted resource for local Miami Gardens health information. Thank you so much for joining us. Be well, everyone. Bye-bye.